spine. 'Cause to tell you quite frankly, I haven't been so sure. I'm tired of being lonely all the time.
And now, Morning Chat with Ken Hayes on WSYB and WSYB1380AM.com. Talk of the day, conversation with folks around town, and you. Your calls are always welcome at 802-773-9792 or toll free 877-241-5960. And now, here's Ken.
I was hoping you'd be there. Ken Hayes here for a Friday, the 21st of August, 2015. 6 minutes after 9 o'clock at WSYB. If I sound a little bit more relaxed than usual, it's because my good friend Bonnie Olson is back with us this morning on WSYB, certified Martha Beck life coach. Bonnie is also not just back with us, but back at the CVPS Leahy Community Health Education Center at Rutland Regional Medical Center on Allen Street here in Rutland for a new series of classes on peace and calm in chaos. It's a 3-part class, September 3rd, 10th, and 17th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. each one of those evenings. A 3-part class that includes presentations on how and why meditation works. Also a focus on practicing the skills of meditation, including grounding and centering exercises, basic and guided meditation, ways to manage our thoughts, and mastering emotions. September 3rd, 10th, and 17th, 6 to 7:30 each evening. Registration is required, but class size is limited to 30 people. And the number to register at is 772-2400. Welcome back, Bonnie.
Thank you. Glad to be here again.
I'm so calm. And your magical presence was felt even by the normally agitated Jack Healy, who on the way out the door looked so serene, calm, peaceful. The fact that he's on vacation now for the next 3 days has nothing to do with it.
Which goes to show you how important vacation is.
Yeah, it is, actually. And as Americans, we don't take nearly enough of it compared to other nations around the world. We really don't.
No, we don't. And unfortunately, a lot of the rest of the world is following our hard work example, which, for them, it just creates more stress around the world.
Well, you were raised RC, right? Roman Catholic? Mm-hmm. Did you go to parochial school? Did the good sisters train? Oh, you missed all that. I was going to say, when it comes to hard work, they instilled that ethic in us. Probably to the nth times, whatever degree. It's hard to shake.
Right. But, it follows through the generations. My mother went to parochial school, and, the philosophy is there, Yeah.
Well, you've got the work ethic because you're back at it again with the classes at RRMC.
Yeah, I'm excited to be joining in and doing that again. This is like my 4th or 5th time doing it.
Yeah.
So
You're getting more comfortable each time?
Oh, yeah.
Good.
Yeah, the people that come in are wonderful people, and they come with the same purpose that I've come to this point in my life with just seeking. And we're seeking calm and relaxation and a better life. So I'm hoping to share those kinds of skills with people when they come and join in at the medical center.
It must be more popular than ever because I noticed class size used to be 15 and now it's 30.
Well, what was happening was so many people were signing up that I would end up having to do it twice at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was a lot. So we were trying something different this time. And so we decided to double the size class and just do one session and see how it goes. So we'll see. I like the smaller groups because especially with the thought work part of the whole process, it's kind of nice to have a smaller group. I think there's more participation, and honestly, I love having participation. That's really what makes these classes, and anything that anyone is thinking in their own minds, they can be sure is not a dumb question. Everybody else is thinking the same thing and wants the information. So it's really wonderful. So if you're listening and you want to come, please come. Don't be afraid to participate. It's really a learning experience for all of us.
But a first-timer still can rest in the relative
they can hide in the
obscurity
back.
of the back row.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So sister isn't going to say, hey, you in the back row.
No,
and,
it's not like that at all.
Oh,
No.
Well,
No.
you know what I mean.
Oh, I do.
They would always do that, especially to me. I was hiding in the back row. Well, 30 isn't an unmanageable number.
No.
It's pretty good. And do you know yet which room they're going to give you? I mean, it's comfortably sized for 30 people. It's not like you're going to be jammed
It'll be one
there.
of the larger rooms, I would imagine, because I think with 20 people, the smaller rooms can work. But more than that, it's really hard, I think.
The repetition here, are you getting how do we say?
Repeat?
They're not patients, but they're not customers.
Yes.
What do I refer to them as?
I have a few people who come back each time.
Yeah.
And I look at them at the door and say, why? It's the same material. But they say, oh, no, every time I come, I get something new out of it. And the truth is, we're at a certain point of understanding, and then we build from there. So we might not pick up what we picked up before because we're at a different place and we're ready to take in more information and utilize that in our minds. So it really does make sense. I've been told by a few more people that I will be having some more repeat people, and I'm excited to see them again. It's fun.
You can mark their progress too.
Usually, they come in with big smiles.
And that means you walk away with a big smile.
Right.
Because it's got to be gratifying for you to see the progress that gets made.
Yeah. Well, I didn't go through learning all of this just to keep it to myself. It's really about sharing, and I want to extend it to as many people as I can. There's too much suffering going on, and most of it comes from what we're thinking and not giving ourselves that time to just be. So that's the message, and teaching people tools that are very easy just to help them keep in check and remember to take that time for themselves.
Well, I don't want you to give away any trade secrets here on the air, but I'm curious, what tools?
Well, the grounding, the meditation, the thought work.
And if the folks that have come before, the repeat offenders, the repeat customers, the repeat patients, they will get something new each time, if only because in the participation part, something that gets said by one jogs the next thought, which jogs the next thought. And so even though you may think of it as the same material, it really is a different perspective each and every time.
Yes. Yeah. And they find that they share something in common with other people. You know, people suffer losses. They suffer great tragedies in life. And I think people have a certain vision of what their life is supposed to be. And life, as we know, throws us curveballs, and we have to learn how to, not suffer so much, but how to process what goes on in our lives and make sense of it and move on in life and enjoy life again. So that's a lot of what we learn how to do.
It's hard to shake off the ghosts sometimes.
Oh, is that what they say in Irish lore?
I think so. Shake off the ghosts. Bonnie Olson is our guest this morning on SYB, Certified Martha Beck Life Coach. By the way, she does have a website, and wouldn't you know, it's BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com.
Just make sure to spell the Olson with 2 O's.
Olson.
Right.
And Bonnie is BONNIE, lifecoach.com. Or you can email her if you prefer that. It's Bonnie at BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com. So many of us live in a constant state of reactivity and uneasiness. It's that constant quest to control the things in life that really are out of our control. The
first thing you can do is just take a breath. That's the very first thing you can do. The breath connects us mind to body. And it's the easiest thing. We have it at our disposal all the time. We've got to do it anyway. But if we...
Better not stop.
Right. But if we focus on that breath and get present, that's enough to get us back in our body. We spend most of our time in our heads, and we have these constantly recurring thoughts that go over and over again. They're very practiced thoughts. And as people might have heard, if you've listened before to me talking, it's with repetitive thoughts, we create neural pathways in the brain, and our brain is trying to be efficient for us. So instead of coming up with a new idea, our brain goes right back to that idea, just like a computer, assuming that you're going to go back to that thought again. So even when we don't want to be thinking that thought, it pops up again. So we actually have to retrain the brain, create new neural pathways of thought. Otherwise, we get in those deep grooves. You can think of it as cross-country tracks. And, when you have well-worn cross-country tracks, it takes a lot of work to get out of that track and create a new track.
Sure.
And that's the same with our brains. They're visible on imaging. You can see these neural pathways. Yeah.
And the more well-worn they are, do they change color or something on the screen, on the image?
I think they look thicker.
Really?
Yeah. But we can dissolve them. We can, by getting present, getting grounded, focusing, making a decision, and we can actually put a hand in front of our face when we have a thought that's repetitive and painful. We can put a hand in front of our face and say, stop, and have that visual for ourselves. You can say stop out loud, and you can redirect. It's kind of like Caesar, what's his name, the dog whisperer.
Oh, yeah.
He's very effective, but the tools he uses, he's not only treating the dogs, he's treating the owners. The owners, yeah. He's retraining them. So we can do the same thing for ourselves. We can be that leader of our mind. We don't have to just go randomly and let whatever pops up stay there and not redirect our thoughts.
It requires conscious thought, though, I would imagine.
We want to be conscious.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
First, you have to be conscious enough to recognize that it is a repetitive, a learned reaction to something, and then you have to consciously replace it with something else, correct?
Right. Well, first of all, just simply get present. Replace it with the fact that you're sitting here, you're not in your head, your thoughts are not who you are, and they're your creation, basically. And just get in touch with your feet, notice that you have feet. Breathe. How do you know? You get back into your body, literally. And then being present, look around you. I'm not in danger. The thoughts in my head are scary. I'm scaring myself to death. I don't need to be doing this. Everything around me is actually pretty good. Things are looking all right.
But are we talking the old, well, it could be worse reaction in life? You know what I mean? There are those who go through life saying, no matter how bad something is, it's always, it could be worse.
Well, a little piece of this, too, is acknowledging what is painful. We don't want to just shove that to the side. We are thinking, feeling human beings with emotions, and a lot of what we do not on purpose is to stuff our feelings. We don't want to do that either, because that comes back to haunt us in ways that are not pleasant, with illness, pain, and disease. We want to acknowledge what we're feeling. We definitely want to acknowledge it.
So when I have that toothache, I'm bringing
care of it.
I'm bringing you around to the dental. Yeah, there you go. As a you're a dentist. You're a hygienist,
right?
So when it comes to all things teeth, that's not imagined pain. That's not something.
Oh, no, that's real pain.
Okay,
we have
that's not
physical pain. We need to take care of things. We need to go and see our physician and get checked out and make sure that it's, not another problem or a growing problem. But see, now you're getting on to the next subject, the mind-body.
Isn't it funny how I just gently segued into that?
How did you know that?
I don't know. It must be a little tooth fairy. Oops, there comes the dentist reference again. I whispered it in my ear. Well, yeah, run with it.
Well,
mind-body.
Mind-body. I'm studying, and I'll be done mid to late November with the mind-body course, which is an extension of what I already do. When I was doing my classes previously, as I've been doing, I've come across a number of people with pain syndromes, and I know a lot of people with pain syndromes. And when I really look at my life, heck, I have pain syndromes. So it's very interesting for me to find why we have them and what we can do about them. And one of the master coaches in my Martha Beck community has a very large practice, a large business, where she actually trains coaches like me to be mind-body coaches and learn the tools that are specific to the mind-body system. So I'm taking this class, and I hope to be sharing that also at Rutland Regional in the spring.
Okay.
And what that is training people how to take care of their own mind-body syndromes, pain. It's mostly around chronic pain and also anxiety.
And anxiety can manifest itself in lots of physical pain.
Yep. it becomes kind of a looping thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The back muscles start to
Back is
spasm,
very
and then
prevalent.
very common.
Pelvic pain
Yeah.
is very prevalent.
Yeah.
There's a long list of things.
But on the flip side of that coin, I'm using dental just to tease you a little bit, but in all seriousness, if you need a root canal, it's not because you were down on yourself for so long that
No.
your tooth started to
No,
rot. That's
physical
not,
things happen.
Right,
We
right.
would be foolish
Right.
to check things out and make sure that we are not physically okay. We don't want to overlook medical science at
Right.
all.
Okay.
And the nice thing is medical science is starting to look at this mind-body stuff because so many physicians, they see their patients, they really look them over well, and sometimes there really is a problem and it's treated, but the pain persists. And there's not a lot of help out there, but this process of mind-body and understanding your mind-body system helps you to calm down your system. Basically, we've super fired up our nervous system so it stays in pain. But also, excuse me, it's a matter of the way the brain learns. Our brain connects things together in a learning process. We have to do it that way to learn. We would never learn anything if we didn't, pull different events together and
Right.
things. But what happens is if somebody experiences something like pain with another thing like bending over, doing gardening, or you name it, those things get linked together and it's learned by the brain that those go together. So then you start creating a pain syndrome. Does that make sense?
Well, then can I tell my wife that I can't do any of those chores that require bending over anymore because it causes me pain? Will you back me up on that?
You can try it, but she might tell you that,
Get off your sorry butt and go do it.
well, she might tell you that you've made a brain association with bending over causing pain and that you need to start re-educating your mind to not produce the pain. Our brain actually will produce pain, and it sends messages through the body when it's in that kind of a situation that it slows down the blood flow in the area, causes muscle tension.
Right. Muscle spasm.
Yeah, and pain.
Yeah. Well, and then eventually pain.
Right.
But then, tell me how Bonnie Olson meditation, for instance, would factor into, will it relax the muscle? Will it really cause the muscle to let go?
Yeah, it starts
calm?
it certainly can help. I think a lot of people in studies they've done, they have a remarkably lessened amount of pain when they are meditators. So yes, but that gets you so far, but the mind-body tools will help you to learn how to create a new neural pathway so that the brain no longer associates the pain with the movement.
Is it replacing one for the other?
Yes, it's retraining.
It's a direct. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of a good analogy, and one isn't coming to mind. Okay, I don't like to bend over, and I associate that with pain. If every time I bent over, I don't know, this is going to sound silly, I gave myself a lollipop, I'm being deliberately...
It's kind of like that, but it's more giving the message to the brain, and it sounds it's hard to understand, and they don't know exactly how it all works, but telling yourself before you go to do something, like some people have a really difficult time sitting for periods of time.
Right.
And that generally creates a lot of pain for them. If they can start by retraining themselves by sitting short periods of time, like a second, and just saying to themselves before they sit down, sitting is a normal activity. Sitting does not cause pain. Then sit down briefly and get right back up. Nope, sitting doesn't cause pain. And just keep on reinforcing it over time. The brain will change and the pain message won't be sent out.
Kind of sounds like what they do with like peanut allergies, where it's
kind of
that violent reaction, but then they kind of train the person to they give them a little minute piece and then a little more and a little more, and over time it's like the body gets used to it and realizes, oh, maybe I shouldn't go into anaphylactic shock over peanuts. or whatever the allergy is.
It does make you wonder. It's not the same, but it sure sounds similar.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, let's see who's on the phone. Hi, you're on WSYB. Thanks for calling.
Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Ken.
Hello, Bill.
Hi,
Hello.
Bill.
Hi. Let's just review, make sure I remembered it right, what we did last time, just that the reason why people in my life, like my original family, tend to arrive is because the brain takes the easy pathway and it's sort of programmed to do that. Did I remember that right from last time?
I'm kind of remembering the story, but I'm not understanding your question.
Okay. We were talking about why I tend to bring people into my life like my original family.
Mm-hmm.
The same dynamic.
Right.
And you said the brain just takes the easy way out.
That's probably very true. Emotionally, it's what you're used to also. So it feels comfortable, even though it's not comfortable, it feels normal. It feels, it's easy for you. Yeah.
Just like you were talking about thought process, there's actually, you can rationally know something is, well, I'll give an example. I live in Vermont, but I used to live in North Carolina. To be honest, I'm better off staying here. And I know that rationally. Give an example, the transit system down there is less adequate. I'd be more isolated, and it would be harder to get around. But because I went to college there, I have memories of it that were pretty positive. Guess what? I know rationally it'd be really foolish to move back there. But emotionally, nope, it won't go away.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're talking about thought work and all that. Thoughts, it seems to me, have no power over emotions. What do you think?
Thoughts create emotions.
Thoughts create emotions, as opposed to the other way around.
Well, emotions can certainly create thoughts, too, because then we scare ourselves, So, yeah, no, it can go both ways. But generally speaking, I would say that thoughts create emotions. What we think then shows up. We get a sensation in our body, and that's emotional energy. And it's an actual physical thing. It's not just thoughts. It is actually physical energy. And as far as this mind-body stuff goes, what happens is most of us just move along. We're very well trained not to feel emotions, so we stuff them, put them aside, and keep marching on with life. And that energy from that emotion that we ignored gets stored in our bodies, and that's also why we end up having physical pain over time.
Right, or because you're right. Emotions are definitely something you feel.
Right.
Right.
They're measurable.
Oh, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And it can be physical, too, and insomnia and all that good stuff.
Right.
And, like this thing with North Carolina, like I said, I was a student in college, had connections with the college, so my memories are good. But I know that now, rationally, thought-wise, it would be different. But it's like...
But do you know what supersedes that?
What?
It is the rational thinking. It's really the gut response. And I know that's hard to understand or believe, but if we can live more in our bodies instead of being in thought loops all the time in our minds, if we can get comfortable and settled in our body, then our inner wisdom is allowed to percolate up. Otherwise, we're shutting down that information. We have nerve endings in our gut. It's the enteric brain, same kind of cells that are in our brain, and it's processing information all the time. And the information coming from that is way more true to you, for you. It's got your truth in it, coming from the gut, as opposed to that rational thinking where we problem solve all the time.
You kind of lost me a little bit.
Okay. What I'm saying is, if we can, you know how we were talking about grounding and getting, back in our body and out of our head?
Uh-huh.
If we can do that on a regular basis, do that every day, hopefully multiple times, what happens is what we get from being back in our body is not just the rational thinking, problem solving, but better than that, it's our true inner wisdom. We can't hear the messages from our true inner wisdom unless we are in our bodies. And then from there, making decisions about North Carolina or Vermont, we get a much more clear picture of what really is best for us.
Oh, I already know what's best that I stay here.
That means you're listening to your gut.
Right.
Right. I'm listening to my gut.
Instead of trying to rationalize it, Bill.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it's the times of emotional stress that the other half, the impulse to leave comes. And that sounds kind of primitive. This pain, you want to get away from it.
Right. Yeah. So if you can get back in your body and listen to what really feels right rather than what you think, it often will be a much better guide for you.
Right. And there's a place where we do that works easily, and that's Pine Hill Park.
Yeah. It's a great place, isn't it?
Yes. And it tends to center me. It's a different environment, but other places in my life are not as calm, I would say.
Well, nature is a really good place for you to get reconnected with yourself. It just is.
Right. Now, another thing, how does when someone comes to you as an individual client, what would be situations, we talked about the difference between psychotherapy and a life coach, the two different things. Psychotherapy, like you said, is like ruminating about the past and is effective dealing with, real depression, maybe anxiety disorders.
Right.
But what kind of situation would bring someone to you?
People who are facing changes in their lives, or oftentimes people will work alongside with therapists and someone like me, because we kind of help people to get back on track and make a plan going forward and follow their inner wisdom, where the therapist is usually helping to really go back and hash out old things for you.
Now, if the therapist and you sign a confidentiality agreement, do you ever talk to therapists? Is that allowed?
Only with the permission of the client.
That's what I mean. They have, well, not only that, they have, if the client is working with a therapist, working with you, they sign all the papers, say, yes, X can talk to Y, Bonnie can talk to my therapist, then do you ever do it?
I haven't had to run into that situation very much.
But it would not be unheard of.
No, it would not be unheard of.
Okay, and also you were talking about pain, physical pain. How do you know when it's the real thing or when it's psychosomatic?
Well, it's pretty interesting. If it's this mind-body syndrome or TMS, what happens is it'll probably be a chronic problem, and it's something that you will have checked out thoroughly medically. And there's probably not a good solid medical reason as to why you're still experiencing pain. And you'll notice that the pain comes and goes, and it shapeshifts is what they call it, where it'll show up in one place in your body, then it might move to another place. So it'll come and go.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. And maybe you could look at what else is going on in your life at the time the pain comes and goes, correct? Would that help?
That might help. Yeah, that might help.
Well, this has all been interesting. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Bonnie. Come back again.
You're welcome. Thanks for calling.
Thanks for the call, Bill.
You're welcome, Ken. Bye.
Always a pleasure to have you on the show. Bonnie Olson, it's always a pleasure to have her, too. Certified Martha Beck Life Coach. Bonnie Olson, Olson, lifecoach.com is the website, where you can email her, Bonnie at Bonnie Olson, Olson, lifecoach.com. Talking about mind-body training, which Bonnie's currently taking, and she'll have some seminars on that, some sessions on that by next spring at the Rutland Regional Medical Center. She's got the fall session coming up, Peace and Calm in Chaos, on September 3rd, 10th, and 17th. 3 sessions, 6 to 7:30 p.m. each one of those nights, a 3-part class with presentations on how and why meditation works to find peace and calm in the chaos of this crazy world, and focus on the practice, the skills of meditation, grounding, centering exercises, basic and guided meditation, ways to manage our thoughts, and mastering emotions. And then we'll get to the mind-body, which is Bonnie's taking training in right now, and we'll have some classes on that come the spring at Rutland Regional Medical Center. Improving your ability to live with the mind and the body and the spirit in sync. You mentioned TMS, tension myositis syndrome.
Right.
Not to be confused with TMJ, temporal mandibular
But
joint
not to
syndrome.
exclude TMJ.
You know, it's funny because every time I see the TMS, I think, no, TMJ. And to me, they're almost kind of the same thing, or a perfect example of TMJ is a perfect example of TMS.
Yeah, I was
right?
talking to a client last night, and she was expressing how just in the last couple of months and having the dental background, I said, oh boy, you don't want to get me started.
Yeah, see, I knew you'd know all about that.
Yeah.
And that's... You know, that's the mental affecting the physical. A TMJ, it's when you, for lack of a better description, Bonnie's probably better at than I, you clench your jaw all the time because you're nervous.
Grind.
And then you end up grinding your teeth.
It could be that, but from the dental perspective, it's also the body's way of trying to balance and even things out. If your bite is just a little bit off, you will probably grind just to try to even things out when you're sleeping. Your body's always trying to get back to its equilibrium, and that's a way of doing it. However, if you are stressed, oftentimes people will start to really clench those masseter muscles. And,
in the back there.
Yeah. And it's very painful. And sometimes, jaws will lock. And so I think it's usually a bit of both.
And folks should know, too, if they've never heard of this before, you can and do it in your sleep without even realizing that you're doing it.
Yeah. If you have a partner sleeping in bed, they might notice you're doing it if you're grinding. But the clenching, you really don't know, except that when you wake up in the morning, your jaw is so tired and your feet and your teeth may ache.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely something to pay attention to. And also notice the amount of stress level you've been in lately. And what I am finding is that if people manage their stress by doing techniques where they quiet themselves and get their nervous system out of fight or flight and back to, what our equilibrium is supposed to be, those symptoms may just kind of lessen or go away.
Which is all well and good in daylight hours and while we're awake, but dreaming can do it too, especially if those dreams, are stressful or even nightmarish.
Well, interestingly, our dreams are there to problem solve. We have, a conscious mind and a subconscious mind. We're awake, but we sleep, X number of hours, and that mind is still going and it's still problem solving. And the subconscious is trying to give us messages, often through dreams. So those dreams, if you can keep track of them, are really interesting and kind of important. And they might help us to have some insight as to what to do next or what it makes sense of something that's going on for you.
So then there is a way to calm during the daytime such that the dreams would be less stressful, therefore less nighttime grinding?
You would think so, although, dreams are strictly for messages, and if there's a message that needs to come up, it's going to come up,
that's what I mean.
Even if you calm yourself during the daytime. Yeah. And just so that you know, dreams that seem very scary have very positive messages. The message is not a horrible, awful, doom.
Will if I follow Mariette Hartley's advice and have my sleepy time tea before I retire for the night, does that actually do anything?
I think it does. I think any little thing that you can do.
I'm sorry, you do remember the commercials? No, I guess you don't.
No, but I mean, I know who Mariette Hartley is, and I drink sleepy time tea. So.
Oh, they still make it?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I was teasing.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, they do. But I think anything that you do to take care of yourself, to quiet yourself, and there's a natural component to chamomile that helps to relax. It can't hurt.
Oh, so that's what's in. I just thought it was an advertising gimmick. So Sleepy Time Tea has, that's their name for it. It's chamomile tea.
It's chamomile.
Oh, I had no idea. I'm not a tea drinker, so that's why I had no idea. I just thought it was a very cute marketing gimmick. So it turns out that there was I'm shocked. Actually, some truth in advertising? Well, wonders never cease.
How about that? But one little thing that I wanted to add, too, is anything that we do to take care of ourselves, every cell in our body knows it. And if we can do it consistently and when we really need it, the body, the whole system kind of goes, oh, she's listening, and there will be a trickle down reaction throughout your body of relaxation. So it's really important, those little things.
It's taking the weight off the shoulders.
Yes, literally. Yeah. Getting them down away from your ears.
So the first, yeah, up that high sometimes. Mm-hmm. So then we should stop making so many lists and checking off, because no matter how many we check off at the top, there's always more to add to the bottom than there is to the top.
Oh, I think the lists are good. But what we need to do is not ruminate over the lists. Make the list and put it aside. Don't make it your focus. Anytime you're doing anything obsessively, like checking a list, then you know that you're kind of dabbling with the TMJ area, or not TMJ, TMS. See, now I'm doing it. where we are, on alert, and we don't need to be. We need to just kind of simmer down a little bit, calm down our nervous system and not be so anxious. The list is always going to be there, like you say. So,
it's not only just going to be there, there's always going to be more to add to the bottom than you crossed off at the top. Or as I am fond of saying, if half the distance takes you twice as long, you never get where you're going. You can steal that if you want. I didn't come up with it, but it's true. Think about it. One step forward, two steps back, that kind of thing.
Well, we want to start taking major, big steps forward as far as really listening to our mind-body system. And our mind-body system is our body, our emotions, our mind, and our inner wisdom. In all of those 4 areas, our goal is to try to balance them out each day. And there's ways that we can do that. And we can check in with ourselves every day just to see how we're doing. And again, that sends the message that we are on our side, and the body can let out that sigh of relief that we're listening finally and start to calm down some of our illness and pain symptoms.
Prayer can be
prayer is like a meditation.
Help. Yeah, I was going to say it. For some folks, it's a form of meditation. Right. Leaving out the religious aspect of it per se, it doesn't matter what religious prayer it is, but the prayer session in and of itself is meditative by definition. Wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
And when it comes to the benefits of this mind-body training that you have gotten, and then you will impart to those of us, in everyday world, it's not just mental, it's not just physical, it's the entire being. It's almost like system. Yeah, it's like Eastern medicine is practiced more than the way Western medicine is practiced. Mm-hmm. That treating the whole person,
right.
And strengthening that connection, giving us whatever it is, the energy, the confidence to go on with our lives.
Well, at one point, about 100 years ago, when a doctor would see a patient, he would be treating the whole person. And then I forget why it was. Maybe it might have, I think it was World War I. I think it was at that point things changed, and they learned so much because of all the atrocities, how much they had to deal with, and, surgeries became the thing, and then, penicillin became the thing, and everybody got away, physicians got away in their training, no longer treating the mind, no longer treating the emotions. It's amazing just having somebody listen to you emotionally, and what's going through your mind as a physician is incredibly healing for a patient.
Sure.
So medicine is now starting to swing the pendulum back toward the whole person, which is great. Unfortunately, physicians don't have much time. So that's the downside of the way things are.
And time and the paperwork.
Oh, that too.
Endless paperwork that goes in, and then we factor in the insurance company syndrome, and it becomes a dog chasing its tail.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure.
But it's also, you talk about stress. The doctors themselves need this kind of therapy. Mm-hmm. The way the whole thing is put together. Do you find that, you haven't actually done any mind-body yet, or have you? Have you done any practice sessions?
Yeah, I'm working on a number of people with practice sessions.
You are already with practice. How's that going? I wanted to know, are you getting that sense of, hey, it's working here?
It's really fun. Well, for me, myself, I haven't had the experience of coaching people. I've only just started this month. And I have a list of people that I'm going to be in contact with locally to do it as well, that have signed up and wanted to take part in this period of time with me with the practice sessions. Yeah. But what I have found for myself is I have chronic low back pain, and I have 2 discs that are herniated. I've known that for years. I don't like to bend over.
I'm glad. Now, how did I know to pick that?
Yeah, of all things, because it's probably one of the biggest ones. But since I have started doing this mind-body work on myself, because that's the way it's taught, is first you start with yourself and then you work with others. So
Dr. Heal Thyself?
Yep.
Okay.
So I've been working with myself each day, and my symptoms are almost nil. They're much, much, much better.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Same with my shoulders and my neck. I'm always in pain in my shoulders and neck.
That's tension.
Yeah.
That's the old hunched shoulder syndrome.
I know. I catch myself.
Yeah.
But it's interesting, is complicated, and it's very simple, but it's kind of complicated to understand all of this. And doctors, and Dr. Sarno, who began this whole thing, he doesn't have his finger on exactly how the brain transmits all of this and why, but it's been a very interesting process for people to try to figure it out. But the one thing that you can do for yourself every day, multiple times a day, he does know, for one thing, it is a matter of the body trying to, or mind and body, trying to keep you from feeling your emotions, even though it's essential that you do. Because there's a part of us that's built-in safety mechanisms that truly believes that it's dangerous to feel our emotions. And some people in their rational mind believe that, oh my gosh, to feel my emotions, I'd rather die than feel my emotions. And really, once you start feeling them, they're not that uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable, but you just start to do it, and it's not that big of a deal. You find over time, it's just so much better. It's the way to be. And the way to do that, very simply, is to set a timer for every 30 minutes on your smartphone or whatever device you have. Egg timer. And when that buzzer goes off, ask yourself, what am I feeling now? And if you only come to feel those vibrations where they are in your body, what it feels like, where it is, notice, just sit with it for a moment or two. Notice if it shifts or moves. That's all we have to do to alleviate these syndromes, these pain syndromes.
There isn't always an appropriate space or time to indulge in the emotion of the moment.
No.
You just ran into the employee from hell.
It's a very good point.
Shares the cubicle next to you, and you just had you know what I'm getting at.
Yep.
You just had the fight, or so you're about to have the fight if you give in to the emotion of the moment.
Well, it's important that we're honest and we speak our truth. And if you can't do it without attacking in that moment, it's better just to leave the space, quiet yourself down, feel your emotions. You can even make a date with yourself that at 5 o'clock when I get out of here, I'm going to punch the heck out of a pillow or I'm going to kick the wall or something. We need to have that physical expression of anger and all of those emotions, but we want to do it in a way that doesn't harm anyone. And we want to do it in a way that it alleviates our stress and that we don't store that emotion. And the interesting thing is when we start feeling our emotions bit by bit, some of the old, dark, deep emotions will start to percolate up, but don't be afraid. We'll just process them as they come up. We don't have to go back and delve deeply into our past necessarily in order to help us to release these old stored emotions.
But we still have to hold in abeyance, at least for a short amount of time, till the 5 o'clock whistle blows, before we can...
Unless you can find
a
soundproof room where you can just
Yeah, I mean, not everyone can say, all right, I got to get out of here, and walk out and walk around the block. Sometimes you just can't do that.
Right. But later on, we might not, in our normal life, we probably don't address it later on. We've just stuffed it and forgot about it. But instead, what you do is you go home when you have that privacy, you conjure up that that memory of what happened, and trust me, those emotions will come right back up for you to take care of. You'll feel it. You will relive it. That's the interesting about the mind. The mind doesn't know the difference between what's real and what we are just creating in our minds. So it works against us and it works for us when we want it to.
Well, that's why the nightmares can be so real, and we have the same physical reaction. You wake up in the cold sweat the same way you would be sweating if the nightmare were actually happening.
Absolutely true.
So then what do we do about getting to listen to the intuition, the inner voice more clearly? Because it seems to me that's where your focus should be, your grounding would take place.
Well, it's a practice. If we want to hear that inner wisdom, and trust me, you do, you get quiet. You find ways to spend time quietly within yourself, and it starts with breathing, getting out of the looping thoughts in your mind, get back to your body. 3 nice cleansing breaths, just feeling your breath, noticing coming in and out. It's funny, it takes very little to switch your mind to focusing on the body. From that place, just sit quietly, and you can even ask, are there any messages? Is there, some guidance for me? And it may come up then. It might not come up for a while, but generally speaking, if you allow yourself that moment for your reflection like that, it will come up. The more we meditate, the more we get quiet. And it doesn't have to be meditation as we think meditation. Walking. Some people do better walking quietly on their own, That brings them a lot of peace. It gets you out in nature, and those thoughts may come up. I have some of my best creativity. I'll come up with ideas for blog posts and things when I'm walking. It works for me. So there's just different ways of getting to that quiet.
It almost sounds like you're telling me what the good sisters told us when we were 5 and 6 and 7, that if you sit in church and you are quiet, that God talks to you.
Yeah, well, there you go.
It's the same, it's the same concept. Mm-hmm. It's just, it will come to you. The trick is, though, to get rid of that constant
noise
soundtrack that's running around like a loop in your head, an 8-track that won't stop cycling over and over and over again, that says, I should have done this. I should have said that. I've got this to do. Oh, wait, how am I going to get that done? Oh, and I got to meet with that person. Oh, and I've got to, it's somehow, if that could be compartmentalized, taken out, put in a box, and just put on the side for a little while.
Well, you can. What you can do is imagine a cartoon bubble and put that thought in that cartoon bubble, and imagine just gently pushing it aside. I'll take care of that later, and go back to just being peaceful in yourself.
There's a reason you're a good teacher. No, I'm serious. That's a great idea. I like that. Bonnie Olson is our guest, by the way, if you're just tuning in to SYB, Certified Martha Beck Life Coach. And the website is Bonnie Olson, OLSON, BONNIE, OLSON, BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com, or you can email her, Bonnie at BonnieOlsonLifeCoach.com. Peace and Calm in Chaos, a 3-part class including presentations on how and why meditation works and a focus on practicing the skills of meditation. Grounding and centering exercises, ways to manage our thoughts, basic and guided meditation, mastering emotions. 3 classes, September 3rd, 10th, and 17th, 6 to 7:30 p.m. each evening at the CVPS Leahy Community Health Education Center at Rutland Regional Medical Center on Allen Street here in town. You have to register ahead of time, so you can do that online at rrmc.org, or you can call 772-2400. Class size is limited to 30 people, so you don't want to delay. They sold out really fast last time, and by the time we got you on the air last time, they were already filled up, so that folks could just get to the waiting list. Do you know at this point how many avails are left?
There was still availability as of last week when I checked in with Beth.
So there are some, but you're not sure.
I don't know. I didn't check in this week.
I would not delay. 772-2400 or rrmc.org. And just listening to Bonnie, you can see why the classes fill up really fast, because she's very good at what she does.
Well, I've had a lot of good resources for books, and I offer those to people in class. And that also is probably why some people come back, because they connect with the books. It gives them a lot of work that they can do on their own, and they have a much greater understanding of what it is they need to do for themselves. And it is like spiritual food too. We can't escape that, how important that is for us. We've kind of lost touch with that. And it's not preachy, it's not churchy. It's just getting to that inner peace. That's really the way I look at it anyhow.
Well, that's why I said you could take the religion part out of whatever that thought process is. It may include religion for you and
Absolutely.
not for the next person, but it doesn't have to be necessarily.
Right, exactly.
But God bless those sisters anyway. They did such a good job. We only have like a minute or two left, and I always feel like I never give you enough time so we can put me in a cartoon bubble and let me float away and let you have your peace with the listeners. So let me do that for you right now.
Well, what I really want people to know is that mind-body syndromes can be overcome. And it's the work that you do on your own to quiet your nervous system. And these hints that I've given you, and if you're interested next year when I present, please come. We'll have a lot of fun. We'll learn a lot of tools. And really, the beginning of all of this is what I've been teaching in this 3-part series that's currently going on too. That's really the basics to learn how to do that. And I know that during this class, a lot of the mind-body stuff is going to sneak through. It just can't help.
Well, it's part and parcel of the whole. It's
it all goes together.
Exactly. It's not like, it's like trying to say, well, we treat the mind but not the body. We treat the body but not the mind.
Right.
The way medicine has become compartmentalized.
Right.
You can't do that with your teaching either, because they're part and parcel of the same thing, which is us as entire, whole, complete human beings.
Right, with emotions, don't forget.
Yeah, wow. Yeah. That's kind of the basis of the whole thing.
It sure is.
And you also, you subscribe to yoga, yes?
I love yoga.
You have found it helpful?
Anything that you can do with physical movement helps to move emotions. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Especially have you heard about the what's the one in the heat? Bikram Yoga?
Oh, I've done that.
Oh, you have? I know folks who have tried it and said, I like yoga, but holy
it's
Hannah,
hot.
That is,
it's
is
hot.
It hot?
Yeah.
I mean, on a day like yesterday, the day before, didn't we all sweat enough? I can't imagine voluntarily going into a steam bath to do that, but maybe that's just me. I don't know. I suppose, I suppose we wouldn't be living in the cold climate we do if we felt otherwise.
I enjoy it a lot more on a February morning. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, there you go. It's not a summertime activity. Bonnie Olson, certified Martha Beck life coach. Thanks for joining us this morning on SYB.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, we'll have you back again.
Thanks.
It's too much fun not to. It's 9:57 at SYB. We'll do the last break and wrap it up.
Hey, it's me, your piggy bank. Remember when you were a little kid? All the dimes and quarters in my back. Yeah, that was good times. Good times. Now, lately, I gotta be honest, you've been ignoring me. Money's been slipping through your hands like a greased pig. Get it? Because I'm a... Anyway, I know how it is. Now that you get a real paycheck, it's nice to have stuff. You'll start saving money next year. Well, I hate to tell you, but good saving habits start now. Put just $20 in the bank a month. Make your own coffee at home instead of that latte every morning. Brown bag it to work instead of ordering in. Those changes alone could save you thousands of dollars a year. Come on, I'm your piggy bank. We can be together again, me and you, the special times. Anyway, if you don't want me to cry anymore, feed me. Go to feedthepig.org for more ideas on how to save. Feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Howdy, folks. Mrs. Tom here from Procter Gas. Wanting to talk to you just for a moment about community. Been seeing all those posts on Facebook and the buzz about Rutland. When people pull together, we can do some amazing things. I hope in a small way, that's where we come in. See, when you buy propane from us, you don't just help a small local business. You help the families that work there as well. Those families, in turn, spend back into the local stores and shops. In today's world, we know you have choices. We also know you're looking for good service and deserve respect. So thank you. First, for putting your trust in us. Second, for staying local. We truly appreciate it. We love the Rutland area, and we're proud to be a part of the revitalization. Keep up the good work. Mrs. Tom Gassett from Procter Gas here with a word on community and roots in the Rutland area, not just branches.
Bonnie Olson, lifecoach.com is the website. Thanks, Bonnie. We'll have you back again soon. 10 o'clock news coming up next, and then Sir Philbin for the rest of the morning. Have yourself a terrific day. Enjoy the weekend, too, and we'll catch you again Monday morning, God willing, and the creek don't rise.
WSYB Rutland at WSYB1380am.com.